Next Phorbas of Cyane, Meteon's son, and Libyan Amphimedon, intent to join the fray, fell slipping in the blood that wet and warmed the whole huge floor. The sword cut short their rising, one pierced through the ribs, the other through the throat. But Eurytus, whose weapon was a two-edged battle-axe, Perseus did not attack with his curved sword, but lifting high in his two hands a huge bowl of enormous, massive weight, embossed in bold relief, he crashed it on the man. Spewing up scarlet blood and dying on his back, he beat his head upon the ground. Then Polydemon, scion of the line of Queen Semiramis, and Abaris of Caucasus, and long-haired Helices, Lycetus too, whose lands Sperchius laved, and Phlegius and Clytus, all of them Perseus laid low and trod the piles of dead. And Phineus dared not fight him hand to hand, but flung his javelin, which missed and struck Idas, who all in vain had held aloof and followed neither side. He glared at Phineus. "Since I am forced to join the fight," he cried, "know I'm your foe, and pay with wound for wound." He pulled the shaft out of his side to hurl it back, but crumpled faint from loss of blood. And then Hodites, next to the king in rank, fell by the sword of Clymenus. Hypsius struck Prothenor, Lyncides, Hypsius. Amathion was there, a grand old man, who honored justice and revered the gods. He, since his years forbade the battle, fought with voice and tongue, and striding forwards cursed their wicked fighting. As his shaking hands embraced the altar, Chromes drew his sword and struck his head off. On the altar down it dropped, and there the still, half-conscious tongue maintained its maledictions as it breathed its last life-breath amidst the altar fires. Next, two twin brothers fell by Phineus's hand, Ammon and Broteus, invincible boxers, could but the gloves subdue the sword. And Ceres' priest, Ampicus, with his white bands round his brow, Lampotides as well, now not meant for business such as this, but for pursuits of peace, with viol, lute, and song. His duty was to entertain the feast, and sing the festal songs, and as he stood apart, his peaceful viol in his hand, Petulus mocked him. "Sing the rest," he cried to Styx's shades, and stabbed him in the head. He fell, and still his dying fingers swept the strings, and sorrow sounded in his fall. But not to let his death go unavenged, Lycormas snatched in fury from the door the right crossbar, and crashed it down upon Petulus's neck, and he dropped like an ox slaughtered in sacrifice. Pylades tried to wrench the left crossbar away, and as he tried, Corythus speared his hand and pinned it to the post. And Abas thrust him through the side, nor did he fall, but died there as he hung, his hand nailed to the wood. Then Melanius of Perseus's camp was slain, and Dorylas, the richest lord of Nasamonia, lord of rich acres. None possessed such wide domains, or harvested so many heaps of incense. In his groin a fatal spot, a spear lodged sideways. He who gave the wound, Halconius of Bactria, saw him roll his eyes and gasp his life away, and cried, "Of all your acres keep the ground you grasp," and left the lifeless corpse. But Perseus, swift for vengeance, seized the spear from the warm wound and hurled it back. It pierced his nose and neck and stuck out back and front. And then he slew, while fortune favored, Clytius and Clanus, born of one mother, dead of different wounds. The ash spear brandished by his mighty arm pinned Clytius's 2 thighs, and Clanus's teeth clenched on a javelin. And Celadon of Mendes died, and Astrius died, whose mother was Syrian and his father never known. Etheon died, once wise in things to come, but then misled by lying auguries. And with them Cepheus's page, Thoactes, died. Agertes, too, the scandalous parricide. Worn as he was, yet more remained. They all were bent on his one murder. On all sides the united ranks assailed him, in a cause opposed to just deserts and plighted word. On his side in support were King Cepheus, loyal and vain, and his new bride and her mother, who filled the hall with their shrill screams. But high above them rose the din of arms and groans of them that fell, and all the while Bellona fouled the gods of hearth and home with flooding gore, and stirred fresh scenes of strife.